Men, pay close attention. When a woman realizes you've lost interest, everything changes. Attraction is not static. It's a dynamic interplay of attention, desire, and emotional response. The moment she senses your detachment, her mind and emotions react in ways most men completely misread. Understanding these reactions gives you insight into female psychology, influence, and desire, allowing you to navigate relationships with confidence and control. This video will break down exactly how women behave when they detect a man's fading interest. From subtle behavioral shifts to emotional responses and strategic tests, you'll learn the signals that reveal her awareness and what drives her next actions. Most men panic, chase, or overcompensate when they see these reactions. But the high-value approach is to recognize, observe, and leverage the dynamic without losing your composure. We'll explore 7 key patterns that happen when a woman senses your lack of investment. These patterns reveal not only her emotional state, but also her desire, curiosity, and instincts. By understanding them, you can maintain control of the interaction, gauge her attachment, and influence outcomes in a way that reinforces your value and authority. By the end of this video, you'll understand why women act differently when they sense disinterest, how to interpret their behavior accurately, and how to respond strategically to maintain attraction or step away gracefully. This knowledge empowers you to see the underlying psychology, remain in control, and turn her reactions into an opportunity rather than a source of frustration. 1. Sudden curiosity. One of the first things you'll notice when a woman realizes you've lost interest is a sudden spike in curiosity. Women are naturally attuned to social dynamics and signals, and when she senses your detachment, her brain begins to analyze the situation. Why aren't you texting as much? Why are you less available? Why does it seem like you're moving on? This curiosity is instinctive. It's her way of understanding the shift in your behavior and determining her next move. Sudden curiosity can manifest subtly or overtly. She may ask more questions than usual, probe about your activities, or comment on changes she notices in your routine. She might try to engage you in conversation to gauge your emotional state or your level of interest. Even seemingly casual questions like, "What are you up to?" carry a hidden purpose. She is trying to understand why your energy and attention are no longer focused on her. This reaction is tied directly to attraction and emotional investment. Women are drawn to men who exhibit independence, confidence, and composure. When a man pulls back or loses interest, he inadvertently triggers curiosity because she wants to understand the reason for the shift. Her desire is stimulated by your emotional distance. The less you chase, the more she notices and starts reflecting on what she might be losing. How you respond is crucial. If you engage with curiosity from a calm, confident, and playful perspective, you maintain your value while subtly increasing her intrigue. Avoid over-explaining, apologizing, or chasing. These behaviors reduce attraction and signal weakness. Instead, respond with measured engagement, short, confident answers, or light teasing that keeps her guessing. Sudden curiosity is also a test. She may gauge your reactions to see if you still care, if you're emotionally dependent, or if you can maintain composure under subtle pressure. Her behavior provides valuable information about her level of interest and emotional attachment. Recognizing this as a natural reaction rather than a challenge to your authority allows you to navigate the dynamic with ease. Ultimately, sudden curiosity is the first stage of a psychological response to your disinterest. It signals that your absence of attention has created tension, intrigue, and reflection. Men who understand this use it to their advantage, maintaining composure and reinforcing value while letting her curiosity drive her actions, deepening attraction and engagement without needing to chase or over-explain. 2. Testing boundaries. The second reaction you'll notice when a woman realizes you've lost interest is testing boundaries. Women instinctively evaluate a man's value and composure through subtle tests, and your detachment creates the perfect environment for this. She wants to see how you respond when her actions push or challenge you. These tests are not malicious. They're a way for her to measure your confidence, independence, and emotional stability. Boundary testing can appear in many forms. She may tease you more than usual, flirt in a slightly provocative way, or bring up sensitive topics to gauge your reaction. She could intentionally create minor tension, such as questioning your priorities, making light challenges, or even subtly acting distant herself to see if you react emotionally. Every action is a probe to determine whether you're still emotionally available, insecure, or able to maintain composure. This behavior is rooted in a woman's desire to understand your true value. When a man loses interest, he demonstrates independence and high value simply by not chasing. This shift makes her curious and triggers tests. She wants confirmation that you are genuinely confident, self-sufficient, and not easily swayed by attention or manipulation. If you respond predictably or chase her, it signals low value. If you remain calm and composed, it reinforces your high status and strengthens attraction. How you handle boundary tests is critical. Avoid overreacting, arguing, or over-explaining yourself. Instead, respond with confidence, subtle humor, and controlled engagement. A light, playful response communicates that you are aware of the test, but it doesn't compromise your independence. This approach increases her respect and emotional investment because she senses that your attention is valuable and not freely given. Boundary testing also highlights emotional intelligence. Women are loyal and attracted to men who can navigate subtle social and emotional cues without losing composure. When she pushes, teases, or tests, your measured response signals strength and value. She notices the difference between a man who is reactive and one who is grounded, confident, and self-assured. Ultimately, testing boundaries is a direct result of your detachment and signals that your absence of interest has shifted the dynamic. Women are evaluating whether you are high value enough to retain attention or loyalty. Men who understand this react strategically, maintaining composure and subtly guiding the interaction. By doing so, you turn her tests into an opportunity to strengthen attraction and influence, creating a dynamic where she respects, desires, and invests in you without you having to chase or over-explain. 3. Increased attention. When a woman realizes you've lost interest, one of the most noticeable reactions is a sudden increase in attention. This might seem contradictory at first. She's noticed your detachment, and suddenly she's more present, texting more often, or seeking interaction. This shift is driven by instinct. Women are wired to value men who are independent, confident, and capable of maintaining composure, and your apparent disinterest triggers her curiosity and desire. Increased attention often starts subtly. She may comment more frequently on your social media, ask about your day, or initiate conversation unexpectedly. These behaviors are her way of re-engaging, testing whether your detachment is genuine, and determining how much she values your attention. This is not manipulation. It's a natural response to the perceived risk of losing a man she finds valuable. Her attention spikes because emotional scarcity creates value. When you are fully available and constantly engaged, she may take your presence for granted. But when she senses that you are less invested or moving on, the balance shifts. Your independence communicates high status and self-assuredness, and women instinctively respond by increasing attention to regain connection and maintain proximity. How you respond to this increased attention is crucial. Reacting with desperation or immediately increasing your investment signals low value. Instead, maintain your composure, respond selectively, and engage in a controlled, confident way. Short, playful replies, calm engagement, and measured attention create tension and curiosity, reinforcing your high-value status. Increased attention also serves as a test. She wants to gauge how much influence she still holds over you and whether your emotional distance is real. Men who recognize this dynamic can strategically manage interactions, allowing her attention to strengthen attraction rather than create neediness or overinvestment. Ultimately, this reaction reflects a shift in the psychological balance. Your loss of interest triggers her instinct to evaluate your value and reconsider her own investment. By observing her behavior without overreacting, you gain insight into her emotional state and attraction level. Men who understand increased attention as a natural response to their detachment maintain control, amplify attraction, and allow desire to grow, positioning themselves as high-value, composed, and strategically engaged. 4. Emotional fluctuations. When a woman realizes you've lost interest, one of the clearest signs is emotional fluctuations. Her mood, energy, and behavior may shift rapidly as she processes the change in dynamic. This is a natural psychological response. She's experiencing curiosity, desire, uncertainty, and even subtle anxiety simultaneously. Recognizing these fluctuations allows you to interpret her behavior accurately and respond strategically without overreacting or losing composure. Emotional fluctuations can manifest in many ways. One moment she may seem playful, engaged, and affectionate. The next, distant, reserved, or subtly testing you. She may alternate between attention-seeking behaviors and withdrawal, creating a push-pull dynamic. These swings are not personal attacks. They reflect her instinctive attempt to gauge your value and determine whether your detachment is genuine. These fluctuations are closely tied to attraction and desire. When a man loses interest, he triggers a psychological shift. She notices the absence of emotional energy she once relied on, and her brain works to re-establish balance. Emotional highs and lows are her subconscious attempt to assess whether she still holds influence and whether her own investment is worth continuing. How you respond to these fluctuations is critical. Reacting emotionally, chasing, or trying to stabilize her mood signals weakness and reduces attraction. Instead, maintain calm confidence and steady energy. Respond selectively, with subtle humor or light engagement, allowing her emotional shifts to reinforce your value. By remaining composed, you communicate that your attention is not freely given, which intensifies her intrigue and attraction. Emotional fluctuations also reveal her attachment and desire. Women who show subtle shifts, alternating between engagement and distance, are often processing how much they value your presence. Observing and interpreting these changes without overinvesting gives you insight into her psychology, allowing you to maintain control of the dynamic. Ultimately, emotional fluctuations are a response to your detachment and a reflection of her evaluation process. Men who understand this remain steady, confident, and strategically engaged, letting her emotions highlight your value rather than distract you. By managing these shifts with composure, you increase attraction, maintain authority, and guide the interaction in a way that strengthens curiosity and emotional investment without chasing or losing independence. 5. Subtle testing. When a woman realizes you've lost interest, she often begins subtle testing. These tests are not overt or aggressive. They're small, calculated ways for her to gauge your composure, confidence, and value. Women instinctively want to know if a man's detachment is genuine, and subtle testing allows them to measure how much influence they still hold and whether your presence is worth reinvesting in. Subtle tests can take many forms. She may make indirect comments about your availability, ask light questions about other women, or tease you in ways that probe your emotional response. She might also observe your reactions to minor provocations, like cancelling plans or joking about your independence. Each test is a way to see if you remain grounded, confident, and self-assured, despite her attempts to elicit a reaction. These tests are deeply tied to attraction and emotional investment. When a man pulls back, He signals independence and high value, which naturally triggers curiosity and subtle challenges from her. She wants to confirm whether your detachment is real or whether she can regain your attention through influence, charm, or emotional play. Her testing is a psychological response to the shift in power dynamics, where she measures both her own desire and your self-control. How you respond to subtle testing is crucial. Overreacting, becoming defensive, or chasing her attention signals low value and reduces attraction. The high-value approach is to remain composed, confident, and measured in your engagement. Respond with calm humor, brief but meaningful interaction, or playful acknowledgement without overinvesting. This shows that your attention is earned and reinforces your independence, making her desire and respect grow. Subtle testing also provides insight into her true feelings. Women rarely act randomly. Their tests are indicators of emotional investment and curiosity. Recognizing and interpreting these tests correctly allows you to maintain control, increase intrigue, and strengthen attraction without losing your composure or overextending effort. Ultimately, subtle testing is a response to your detachment and a reflection of her psychological evaluation. Men who understand this can strategically manage interactions, maintaining authority, confidence, and magnetic presence. By allowing her tests to highlight your value rather than provoke insecurity, you position yourself as the high-value man she cannot ignore, deepening attraction, curiosity, and emotional investment naturally. 6. Jealous signals. When a woman realizes you've lost interest, one of the most revealing reactions is the emergence of jealous signals. These are subtle cues that show she is paying attention to your life, assessing your interactions, and reacting emotionally to your independence. Jealousy in this context isn't about malice. It's an instinctive response that indicates her awareness of your detachment and the value she places on your attention. Jealous signals can appear in a variety of ways. She may ask indirect questions about other women in your life, comment on your social interactions, or reference situations where you could be connecting with someone else. These are not accusations. They're probes to gauge your reaction, test your emotional control, and measure whether she still has influence over your attention. Even subtle behaviors like lingering eye contact, playful teasing, or slight shifts in tone can indicate a spike in jealousy. This response is rooted in attraction and emotional investment. When a man disengages, he creates scarcity, which naturally increases perceived value. Women notice when a man's attention is not guaranteed, and jealousy arises as a way to reassess their own feelings, gauge competition, and determine the importance of his presence in their lives. Essentially, jealousy is a mirror showing that your detachment has affected her perception of the relationship dynamic. How you handle jealous signals is crucial for maintaining control and reinforcing attraction. Reacting with defensiveness, guilt, or over-explanation diminishes value and signals insecurity. High-value men respond with calm composure, subtle humor, or measured acknowledgement. They let her jealousy exist without overreacting, which amplifies intrigue and reinforces the fact that attention must be earned rather than freely given. Jealous signals also serve as an opportunity to observe emotional depth and attachment. Women who display these cues are often processing their desire and attachment levels internally. By staying composed and maintaining your independence, you allow these feelings to strengthen naturally. Your calm presence signals high value, making her emotional investment grow while reinforcing your authority in the interaction. Ultimately, jealous signals are one of the most powerful indicators that your loss of interest has shifted the dynamic. Men who recognize this response can strategically guide interactions, maintaining composure, enhancing attraction, and leveraging emotional investment. Understanding jealousy as a natural, instinctive reaction allows you to navigate her behavior with confidence, authority, and control, deepening desire and respect without chasing or compromising your independence. When a man loses interest, he triggers a scarcity effect. His attention becomes more valuable because it is no longer guaranteed. Women respond by recalibrating their feelings and increasing emotional engagement to re-establish connection or test whether the dynamic can be restored. The result is heightened investment in your presence, which naturally increases attraction and loyalty when handled correctly. How you respond to this emotional investment is critical. Do not panic, overcommit, or chase her attention. Instead, acknowledge her engagement in subtle, measured ways that reinforce your value. Offer attention selectively, maintain composure, and keep interactions meaningful but balanced. This approach strengthens her attachment while preserving your independence and high-value status. Increased emotional investment also provides insight into her genuine feelings. Women rarely act randomly. Her deeper engagement signals curiosity, desire, and recognition of your value. By observing and guiding this process with calm confidence, you allow attraction to grow naturally while keeping the dynamic under your control. Ultimately, when a woman realizes you've lost interest, her emotional investment increases because she senses a shift in power, attention, and value. Men who understand this principle can navigate the dynamic with authority, enhancing desire, respect, and connection without appearing desperate or reactive. By remaining composed, strategic, and high value, you turn her heightened emotional engagement into a tool that strengthens attraction, loyalty, and influence in the relationship. Men, understanding how a woman reacts when she realizes you've lost interest is one of the most powerful insights in modern dating. Her curiosity spikes. She tests boundaries, increases attention, experiences emotional fluctuations, subtly challenges you, shows jealous signals, and ultimately invests more emotionally. These are not random behaviors. They are instinctive responses to a shift in attention, desire, and perceived value. The key takeaway is that women respond to men who maintain independence, composure, and high value. When you pull back or lose interest, you create emotional scarcity, which naturally triggers curiosity, desire, and deeper engagement. How you handle these reactions determines whether attraction, respect, and loyalty grow or fade. Reacting with desperation, chasing, or over-explaining diminishes value. Remaining calm, confident, and strategically engaged amplifies your influence and positions you as a high-value man. Recognizing these patterns allows you to navigate relationships with authority and insight. You no longer react blindly to her behaviors. You interpret, understand, and guide interactions while maintaining composure. Her actions become signals to read, not triggers to respond to impulsively. This strategic awareness ensures that her emotional investment and attention align with the respect and attraction you deserve. Ultimately, the men who master this dynamic maintain control, increase desire, and strengthen emotional connection without losing independence. Women respond to high-value energy, and your ability to create it through composure, subtle detachment, and strategic engagement transforms the relationship dynamic. Understanding these reactions lets you influence attraction, maintain authority, and build connections that are both magnetic and lasting.